Christmas time is here.
No, don't do that to them. You do that to me.
Time for joy and shame.
No. I accept it because I'm not going anywhere as your friend.
Podcasts are coming out.
They're gonna leave.
Christian Christmas movie. That was, don't lie. You're doing a bit, but that was really good, though.
What, my bit was good? Because that's the only tolerable thing.
Note, people are going to think I was auto-tuned. Because I was just riding the groove. Happy Christmas, podcast family. Happy Christmas, Tim. We're here.
Thanks, Ant.
We're doing a podcast.
It's good to be here. It's so cold out.
Brr.
I went up north to Georgia last week, and it was freezing.
Yeah.
I had to wear long sleeves.
Yeah. Georgia gets brisk.
It was like 50 something.
Mm-hmm. Do you want, you were in Nashville long enough. It doesn't snow on Christmas though, right? Typically.
I don't know. I was never in Nashville for Christmas. I always came down to see you.
That's right.
You know?
But you would have, like, no one ever sent you a picture. It's usually like January.
It would snow in like December every once in a while.
Like
early December or maybe late November.
That's true.
But then it didn't really stick.
The football game recently, the Steelers-Browns game, it was snow. It was like tons of snow.
Yeah.
That was in Cleveland though.
It's good.
A little bit more north.
Geography.
What I was going to ask you, I have two questions to start, was does part of you want that? You want like snow and cold on Christmas morning?
Yeah, if you don't have to drive anywhere anyway, then that's fine.
Yeah.
It looks pretty.
I like it to be colder, so I can wear jammies and whatnot, you know? But I don't want snow. I don't want it. I've been in it.
Well, you're not going to get it on Christmas here.
That's why I'm like, I feel like when you live in Florida, people are like, oh, it's so warm on Christmas. And I'm like, I know. I like it. I take it.
Yeah, I want it colder. I always want it colder on Christmas.
Okay.
And snow on Christmas I think it would be fine. Again, if you live in a place where it snows regularly, you know how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's that much of an inconvenience. If that were to happen here, our lives would be amok. Like,
it snowed in Florida.
I know, technically.
It's real.
I know.
That's why they have Blizzard Beach. Taylor Swift wrote a song about it. Snow on the beach, I think.
I don't think that was about Florida.
Well, I thought all her songs were about Florida. She has a song called Florida.
Yes, one song.
I thought she was like, you guys get it. All the songs are from Florida. I thought it was implied in the whole album. It's a Florida anthem.
That was inferred.
Yeah.
By you.
Right.
Never,
and I think most people would back me up.
Never implied by her.
Okay, second question. Were you ever in a Christmas pageant?
I had to, yeah. I had to be. Because I did all sorts of stuff with the church when I was little, like up through like 5th grade even. Yeah. Yeah.
I was a dad in a Christmas pageant when I was in elementary. I distinctly remember.
It's so, yeah.
Or like I'm in like 3rd grade or whatever. Yeah. I was the dad of the family.
You had to play an older character? I had experience playing like
old dad.
Methuselah or something. Oh. Yeah, it was like I gotta be really old. And so I was like in 3rd grade trying to like get my old deep raspy voice on.
I was really in character. Like when they opened up, I was like on the table, just like
slurping your coffee in your microphone.
I'm worried. I'm kind of worried that my life has no meaning. I can't keep doing this job, Margaret. It's taking the life out of me. The director would be like, cut. Anthony, you just give the kids the presents. That's the thing you're supposed to do.
You don't even have a line yet.
Yeah, but I'm getting into character. It's like, why did I buy the new car? Did I really want it, or am I trying to keep up with the neighbors? Anthony, good golly.
Just to hand the present over.
You take the present, you hand it to the kids. Okay, but like, why did my character do that? What got my character that moment? And now I'm living it. So now I'm living what I was acting in 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. And I'm just worried about why I bought a new car still. Trying to make it a December to remember, am I right?
Mm-hmm. You gonna slurp that coffee right? Just waiting for us to cut some audio.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. This is a very special segment we call Christian Christmas Movies Are Funny.
Ooh, yep.
We changed it.
We did
for this one because it's a Christmas movie.
Kind of.
Yeah, right.
It's got some decorations up.
Do you have strong feelings about that? I'm sorry, I'm not starting the podcast. I swear I will. When people are like...
I'm used to it.
Somebody's like, in your face, like, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. And I'm like...
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, Harry Potter's a Christmas movie. Sure. Watch it whenever you want. Why does it matter?
It's not.
Who are you trying to fight with?
If you're a person that says Die Hard's a Christmas movie, then this was a Christmas movie.
Don't...
It has to be kind of a focal point of the movie, I think. It can't just take place during that time.
Right. It's like, you know as well as I do that you're going to, like, try to make this point and, okay, you win.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas movie.
If you've made it up in your head.
When we're doing, like, Christmas movies, we're not going to watch it, though.
Yeah.
And you know that, right?
Yeah.
And I know that. But you would like to make your point still.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Fine. That's fine.
Die Hard's a Christmas movie then.
Sure.
I'm going to put on Elf.
You know what else is a Christmas movie? A basketball game. Because they play the basketball game on Christmas. So it's like, it's a Christmas show.
So if
It's on the same day. That's it.
It's
the only connection.
The same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lord of the Rings. There's elves in that. It's a Christmas movie. And there's a person in your friend group, I know there is, who likes to do this. And I would say that's my advice at the top. Just say, fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're Christmas movies for you. That's fine.
And then make up other facts for them to suckle on.
Live in their own thing.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas movie. Christian Christmas Movies Are Funny. It's the name of the segment again. Today we're consuming and discussing, because that's what we do here.
Mm-hmm.
We consume the movie. We discuss it here on the podcast. We're discussing the 2015 Christmas classic, Alter Egos. Alter Egos.
ALTAR. If you're just typing it in your search engine right now. AR.
Right. ALT.
It's a play on words.
AR. Tim, what do we need to know about the movie Alter Egos?
All right. This film was like you said, 2015, written and directed by one Sean Morgan. It seems to be the only film he's directed and created.
Of Morgan and Morgan?
Morgan and Morgan and Morgan. This film was produced in Virginia, entirely in Virginia, essentially at Liberty University, so it seems.
Seemed like there was some Liberty.
It is very much smells of Liberty.
Yeah.
And so you take that however you like, Yeah.
When
I say you smell like grandma, maybe you think,
cookies.
Grandma has great perfume. Mm-hmm. Some people think grandma smells like pee.
Different people have different thoughts.
It smells like Liberty. Nope, no offense, maybe. Filmed and produced in Virginia, and Jerry Falwell is thanked at the end, but I can't tell if
Shout it out.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was junior or senior, because senior had been dead for like 8 years by this point.
Right.
But maybe he was so influential.
I think it said Liberty president, Jerry Falwell.
Well, he was, but then junior.
Yeah, but he would have been the active president at that time, I think. That's my guess.
Yeah, I guess. No, whatever. Anyway, and I did think that the name Alter Egos was clever, but it's also the name of an Arrested Development episode.
I saw that when I searched it.
And that came out in 2004. So,
Ooh.
this film stars Robert Amaya as Pastor John. You probably haven't seen him in anything except for maybe War Room, which we haven't watched yet for our podcast.
He's in War Room.
Somewhere, I don't know.
Okay. It's a gap, I think.
According to the IMDb. Now again, IMDb is a little off on this one. They're like, oh yeah, it's starring, like, the number 2 star on here is an audience member from the church. So they don't even list like the guy's son or anything on here. So I had to watch the rest of the movie and get to the credits. So I did watch the movie.
Tim,
Yep, even to the credits.
You work too hard.
Yeah, I do. I sure do for these. Maxwell Morgan as Jack, his son. Sally
Morgan and Morgan?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. I wonder if that's Sean Morgan's kid.
Gotta be.
He was actually good. Sally Davis Washington as Mary Margaret, and Victoria Jackson as Barbara. Victoria Jackson from SNL, from old school. I don't know. She's like original SNL cast.
She was Barbara?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I did not recognize her, but that checks.
Yeah. She's very funny.
Yeah.
Lindsley Register as Holly, the love interest of Jack.
Say that name again?
Lindsley.
There's two. Lindsley?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you threw a couple L's in there. Lindsley.
Flipping through the baby book and you see Lindsay, you're like, I like it. Wish there was more L's.
How can we make it harder to pronounce for a little kid with a speech impediment? Lindsley. Erin Bethia as Betsy. She's also from Fireproof. Scotty Curley as Bob Stern. He's from War Room. Okay. Leland Klassen as Pendergrass. He was the pastor across the street.
Oh, okay.
There are 27 people only listed as actors in this film, so that's all you got.
Okay. I happened to see, I was looking up a name and I saw Pendergrass and I couldn't for the life of me. I was like, what character was named Pendergrass?
Right. It was one time. It was one reference.
Scene. Yeah. Okay. There you go. How about a little summary for the people? Because 2015, man, so it's 9 years ago. A lot of people.
It's been out. You had some time to watch this thing. And yeah, here we go. Here's the IMDb synopsis of Alter Egos from 2015. Desperate to see their church grow, Pastor John, Robert Amaya, and his wife Betsy, Erin Bethia, do the unthinkable and change their church Christmas pageant. Flabbergasted, elderly choir director Mary Margaret, Susan Washington, leads the choir to boycott. Facing termination, Pastor John resorts to disguising himself as an old man to bridge the generation gap, win over Mary, and lead the choir back to the church. When he discovers that the wounds run deeper than he thought, Pastor John must learn to love the unlovable or risk the ruin of his church and family.
Wow.
End scene.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good summary.
It was.
All right. Wow. I feel good right now. I feel like we're off and doing it.
Yeah, we got a good synopsis here.
We got a good synopsis. We got a good rundown of the folks involved. I'm going to do a little bit more thorough synopsis for our listeners. Fans of the pod will know this part of our time together. Before I do that, I like to say a little. What do you call this? Like a
disclaimer.
Disclaimer is the word I was looking for. Thank you. A little disclaimer. We like to do this. We like to consume these movies. We like to discuss them with you and with each other. But we don't like to just tear people down for no reason. We're about building people up. We're not about tearing people down.
Yeah.
So
Groups of people are different. I will tear them down.
To do creative things, and they make stuff, and they write books, and they write songs, and they sing, and they perform, and they do all these incredible things, and that's amazing. It gives us stuff to consume and then discuss here on the podcast. So what we never want is the consumption and discussion to slow anyone down from making anything. Make your thing. Get out there, get out in the world, express yourself, tell your story. That is what we're about. We also do consume these things that are offered for consumption, and then we discuss them here on the pod. So,
yeah, we're gonna eat it, and we're gonna tell you about it.
Yeah, you made it. It's the holidays. You brought this dish,
and in theory, we're doing this together. We're talking about the same. We could all eat the same food at the same time in different parts of the country and the world.
That's right.
We're just here to talk about it together. We're just talking about it.
It's a global thing.
We're just having a conversation.
It's a global initiative. This is, again, the 2015 Christmas classic Alter Egos. I'm going to do a more thorough synopsis that does involve some spoilers. So, if you have not seen this movie and you would like to, you can go in the show notes. We have a link. It's available on YouTube. Ad-free for me. I don't know what your experience was like.
No, I got a lot of ads.
Oh, I had no ads.
Really? I had like weird ones on there too.
Well, You might get some weird ads.
I mean, I'm into weird ads.
But I didn't get any ads on this one. The link is in the show notes if you want to go watch it. But so you're up to speed with everything we talk about, you can go do that right now. If you already saw it or you're good with spoilers, so just hang around for a second. But I'll give you a minute to make that choice. Think about it, talk it over with your family, and then decide what's best for you. Okay, we're going to carry on. Welcome back, or thanks for sticking around. Synopsis of Alter Egos. Pastor John is the pastor at Grace United Church, and he's dealing with all the challenges of doing ministry in modern urban America. He's facing families falling apart in his community. He's facing people questioning things they once held as foundational to their faith. He's facing a growing apathy towards all things spiritual and a collective distrust of religious institutions. But Pastor John ain't got time for that. He's got a choir emergency. After John suggests a change to the church's annual Christmas pageant, the choir leader, Mary Margaret, stages a protest and aims to replace him as the leader of the church. John is faced with a choice, and it's a choice that many of us face over the holidays. Does he let his family legacy slip away? Or does he elicit the help of his son to disguise himself as an old man so that he can flirt with his stepmom/church choir director long enough to get her to let her guard down so that he can subtly suggest she change her position and ruin his high school son's chance with his crush by pimping him out in disguise to his step-grandma's thirsty best friend in the process? It's a classic, what do you do?
We've all been there.
John is no quitter. So he and his son take on elderly identities as Frank and Milo to infiltrate the choir's social circle, romance the elderly, and save Christmas. That's the movie.
Wow. I thought my IMDb synopsis was thorough.
IMDb stepped up.
Yours crushed it.
Well, we all have a choice.
We all have a choice to make.
We all have a choice to make. John made his choice. This is the movie Alter Egos. Tim, what was something that was shocking to you about this movie? It was surprising.
I mean, legitimately, the shock, this, like, we already said spoiler alert, but, like, when this twist of Mary Margaret being Pastor John's stepmom,
right?
I did not see that one coming.
Right.
That was a shock.
Right.
Because they never, there's no point where they address it or hint at it at all.
No.
Like, the only thing that comes in when she's like, I don't care about your family, and you're like, dang, that was pretty harsh. But,
right.
She's just awful. And then it turns out she's his
stepmom.
Yeah.
And it's almost like what was shocking was like he's like, I can't figure out where this disconnect is coming from. I just can't seem to connect with her. And you're like, so it never occurred.
Well, I think that was set up for the shock of it all. The surprise twist.
Yeah, they did a nice. I guess I don't know if this is what you are saying. But words about it. Like it was like, oh, that is a reveal.
There really is a twist
that actually thickens the plot here.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
There was a marriage that happened between this woman and the
right. And I mean, it was so severe that I thought, and like so severe and so obvious that it should have been mentioned.
Right.
You, of course, would talk about this woman being your stepmom. Mm-hmm. Like that would come up in conversation. That would have to with your spouse. Like all the conversations that we saw, that we witnessed. Naturally, that dynamic would have been brought up.
Right.
And so it was so severe of a twist, and it hadn't been talked about, which it should have obviously been talked about, that I questioned if I missed something. It was that bad. Like they had to say something earlier, but they didn't. So it was a little unrealistic, but nonetheless shocking.
Yeah, man, completely agree.
What do you got?
My thing that was shocking was that, and I mean, I guess it's the least shocking thing, that Christians came out with a version of The Wobble after The Wobble came out.
Yeah. Well, they also came out with a version of Mrs. Doubtfire after Mrs. Doubtfire had been out.
But there's a line dance done, and the music starts. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool. And then the hook is like Wobble, and it's a line dance.
Yeah.
And it's like, this already exists. Mm-hmm. Change it to Bobble, at least. So I had to do some research. The Wobble, the song came out in 2008 by an artist named VIC. That's going to win somebody a trivia night because the actual like Wobble Baby, Wobble Baby, Wobble Baby. If you've been to a wedding, maybe you've seen it.
2008, you said?
2008, the song drops. Okay. And then like 10, 11, the line dance starts to take over and it becomes like a cool thing. It's a very fun line dance to do. We just did it at my brother's wedding. It's a good one. It's fun. Mm-hmm. You're wobbling everywhere.
You love your line dances.
I'm a sucker. I know people hate them. I'll do a line dance.
I am that man who hates them.
2008 song comes out. 2010, 11, the line dances become... Family Force 5 drops the song The Wobble in 2012. And it's just like, it was already
there. Song by the same name with the same purpose.
With the same purpose, Tim. Mm-hmm. Like, again, I've been around the Christian stuff. I've been a Christian a long time. I know what we do. I know how our people operate. I get it. We see something, we bite it off. We do a sort of lesser version of it, right? I watched Bible Man while my friends were watching Spider-Man. I've done it. I've been here. But at least we changed the name a little bit.
Yeah.
To be like, for Jars of Clay to be like, I got a song idea. It's a line dance called Cupid Shuffle. Someone's got to say, no, you can't, Jars of Clay. You can't. It's already out there. Wobble. Family Force 5. I'm sorry. That was a bit of a rant. I didn't mean to get that ranty, but it was shocking to me.
You were shocked by it.
It was shocking. Honestly, the scene wasn't that bad. It seemed like the dance seemed fine. It was all fine.
It was a little long, but yeah, that's fine.
It was like, okay. If this, again, name the song Bobble. Name the song
just
anything.
Or just don't do it. Or use the original
Wobble. I can't do the original. It's secular.
Right. I'd have to pay for it.
Secular.
I'd have to pay real money for it.
Yeah, Family Force 5 was definitely like doing a concert at Liberty in conjunction with the release. You know what I mean? They definitely planned that out. Okay, character you wanted to see less of?
Ooh, it's hard to just pinpoint one. But what I really wanted to see less of, it wasn't. This is kind of a in between one, because I just didn't want to see their attempts at straight comedy anymore. That was almost there were so many times where they tried to force that into happening, and it was so awkward and not funny. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be mean, because there were other points where like the comedy just happened, like it was part of the story. This lends itself to some funny moments. Yeah. But then there were a couple of pieces where they just tried to go like, oh, here's a joke. That's gonna get them.
The joke, yeah. There was a couple of jokes that
they were flat. They weren't funny. It was out of character for the character, and I didn't like it. But then I did have an honorable mention. Okay. Of Mary Margaret. Just. The early stages of Mary Margaret specifically, and she was just Cruella de Vil, as far as we knew. And this is before the reveal that we knew what was going on, and maybe that there was more of a story here. But when she says to their face, I don't need your family. Like, I don't want your family. I don't like it. Like, that's mean. That's just mean.
It's a mean thing
There's
to
not
say.
A place for that.
So I guess maybe sort of in line with that, my character I want to see less of is it's almost a little bit of a compliment, and it's Dirk, the first boyfriend of Hannah.
Oh, I thought he was funny.
He was like kind of funny, very unlikable. So when I say I wanted to see less of him, it was almost just like he played a good villain. Like, and he also had shades of. I was curious what you would think on this. He had shades of Jim Carrey. Like, he bursts into the bathroom at the end. Let me see the quote because I wrote it down. And he says. He said, "Oh, he hits the." So at one point, the boy who's pretending to be an old man elicits another boy to pretend to be that same old man. So the original boy is in the bathroom, and the old man is the other guy. And he walks in, he throws open the door, and he goes, "Nighty night, old man," and he hits him, and it was very Jim Carrey-ish. I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't hate him. I mean, you don't like him, but he was fine.
I'm using this as a compliment. I wanted to see less of Dirk because I thought he was a good villain, and every time he filled you with that sort of like, that's guy, he's mean, and he even like he did stuff that made you like he was funny in the ways we're saying, but then he also like kind of put his hands on Hannah a couple times in a way that she's like, I don't like that, don't touch me. So you legitimately didn't like him, and I was just like, Dirk. Actor, good job, well done. He was, I just liked it, which is why I wanted to see less of it. Okay. character you wanted to see more of?
This was an easier one for me. Which is funny. We mentioned before that you didn't know who he was, but Pastor Pendergrass, he was my favorite, and he's in there for one line. Like you get one line out of him, maybe two, but his delivery on stuff, like he's the pastor across the street. Pastor John comes out and is
one scene, not one line.
I mean, how many lines?
There's the dialogue.
I guess he's yelling at him from across the street.
Yeah.
And then his delivery on stuff when he calls himself Pastor Eye Candy.
Yeah.
That got me. And he reminded me a lot of Rob Riggle. Like his delivery on his jokes were spot on.
Overconfident.
I could do way more of him. I could do half a movie with him.
I like that as a dynamic too, because it's sort of an unsaid thing. More often than not, because you have two pastors that have churches across the street, and you get them talking, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm just thankful people are going to church. I'm just thankful they're serving the Lord." But when you get a movie that names like just this obvious tension, that's like obviously they're doing like a caricature of it, but he's like, "We had 580 in here today. How many did you have over there?" Like, I love that. I love just call it out.
Yeah,
because that's what you're doing. That you're sort of doing it, and I love that. I completely co-sign on that.
Okay, thank you. I needed your validation.
I know you don't, but I really did. I felt very strongly the same way. I think you're going to say the same to mine. I wanted to see more of Barbara Coolidge, who I found out was on SNL. You just said.
Oh yeah.
She was funny.
Yeah,
she was. The timing was right. I loved. She had so many from the moment she says Barbara Coolidge like the president. I was like, I love this. This is just a good thing. She was sort of. So Mary Margaret's this sort of like sourpuss the whole time, and then her best friend is this Barbara Coolidge, and she's all positive, right? Mm-hmm. So that was awesome. She was super like thirsty to meet a dude. Like that was a funny bit.
And was like jumping around to any dude. Like
any dude. Yeah. So you think she's just into the Fred guy, and then the other guy shows up and she's like, nope, I'm into that too.
And her voice is just really good.
Right. And it could be like she's got like a very high pitched.
Yeah.
But she clearly knows how to use it. So she's like quick with her delivery. I just was like, she's great. She is great. At the end, they reveal that this high school kid was dressed up like the old man. And she's like, "You were dating my mom? How could you?" And she looks at her daughter and goes, "What do you mean, how could you?" Like, sort of stands up for herself as a viable, like, female option. Like, I was like, this is great. Barbara Coolidge, man. She killed this movie.
Yeah, and I think her voice kind of reminds me of like Kristen Shaw from Last Man on Earth and all sorts of stuff. The real high squeaky, like very endearing, very likable. I liked her a lot.
Barbara was great. Low point, Tim.
Let me. Sorry, I changed screens. Low point for me. Like this was an easy one. It was weird and it was gross. I didn't like any of it. I didn't like how any of it played out. But like when the little girl got stage fright.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And she like pees her pants like in this rehearsal. And then like nobody I get weird with kid stuff. Like nobody I know it's a comedy and it's about like this little girl whatever.
Right.
She like pees her pants.
Right.
And then they like reluctantly clean it up. Like they have to be told to clean it up. Like you're gonna leave the pee on the stage.
Right.
And then they don't do anything to like take care of the girl or make her feel better or like not shame her for peeing her pants.
Right.
And it's more about like the pee getting cleaned up. And then this woman cleans it up. And at the end of that scene, it's like it's early on in the movie. And so we're establishing this character and the dynamic between the choir and the pastor. And Pastor John walks in, and then the end of the scene, the towel that cleaned up the pee is thrown at him. At the Pastor John. And it like lands on his neck, and then he smells it. Like this was all awkward and
it was
weird.
All weird.
And that alone, because I was so early, I just had a weird taste in my mouth.
Agree.
So it was not
just a classic case of like, for the point of the story, we need to know she got stage fright. That was it.
Yeah.
Like what we needed was her to like lock up. And then she runs to her mom. And you're like, okay, story point. The little girl doesn't have any lines. Like that's all she does. To do the pee, I was like, oh gosh. That's That's intense. And then, they respond like you did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very, very weird.
None of that was okay.
Too much. My low point was Frank's makeup.
Gosh.
Shockingly, Milo, who is the high school kid's older character.
No. Milo was the dad's
You're right.
stuff.
Sorry,
Frank,
Milo's makeup was the one I had much bigger issue.
Yeah, okay. That's what
Frank's makeup.
I knew you were talking about that.
Frank's makeup was surprisingly passable. Like he looked like, okay. Like you definitely, like, you're the audience. It's a wink. You
That's
know,
because
this
the
is
character was passable.
little kid dressed up in makeup. But boy, the Milo's makeup, there was a shot on the side shot, and I was like, that's not a human ear that he has right now. I don't know what it is, but it is not a human ear. He was yellow, and the face was like actively falling off of him, which I understand is like maybe kind of the effect you're going for with an old person, but it was like a mask that was melting during his scenes. So you have his kid who you're looking at, Frank, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's fun. It's like think White Chicks or any of these movies where it's like someone's obviously in a
I don't know, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire, for example.
Just pull an example out of thin air. I don't know,
Mrs. Doubtfire. Think that where you're like, okay, well, that's Robin Williams dressed up as an old woman, but I accept. Carry on. But this one was like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
It looked actually a lot like, and I wasn't sure how deep you got into this, but the Tim Robinson show, I think you should leave. He plays a character that does pranks in the mall. And I'm really excited we're going to post this on the Instagram because the side by side of this character, which the joke is that he's got bad makeup on, and it ended up looking exactly like him. Like, exactly like him. Something
like
danger.
Tim Robinson is trying to parody.
He's parodying, like these YouTube prank videos. And he's like in this awful
And these guys
getup.
are trying it for real. And it's
But
worse
it was like,
than
who
parody.
did Frank's? Because whoever did Frank's did great.
Right. They made a kid, this like 18-year-old kid, look pretty legit.
Yeah.
It looked like they were having a good time, though.
It did.
Because the scenes were really extended and were really long. And they just none of them got cut.
High point for you, Tim.
High point for me was kind of a general. It was the kid. It wasn't his character so much. It wasn't Jack or whatever his name was. The
Jack
character.
was his name. Yeah.
It was everything about him. I thought he did a really nice job. And, like, they did a good job with the makeup with him. His like line about Cyrano, whatever. His delivery, because he's pretending he's in a play in the film as well, and so he's like got this little love interest with Holly. I think she's really cute, but she's got this boyfriend who's a jerk, and he's trying to get in. There's moments where this plot was pretty okay. Like, it's an interesting premise where he's like kind of suckered into this thing with his dad, in this scheme with his dad, but he really likes this girl and he can never be in the same place twice.
Right.
Otherwise he's going to be revealed. He has to keep denying this girl. This girl keeps asking him out on dates. He has to keep saying no because he's doing this thing with his dad, and then turns out he's actually like kind of hitting on her mom or grandma or whatever. It gets weird, but it's fun.
Right.
But the kid does a great job with it.
He's solid.
He does a great job with his like little dance routine, with doing the Cyrano lines, with just delivering everything. I thought he did great.
Yeah.
So he was overall my high point.
I'll give you another, like, just to the cleverness, just quickly. So the play Cyrano is about a character that can't express himself to the woman. And so he has to like he elicits the help of somebody to kind of like talk through that person to say what I know. There's some cleverness to this, the way this was built. My high point was the montage with him and his dad and the old people makeup playing the handbells. They were like doing a handbell choir.
Gotta have a montage.
And if it's a Christian movie, you gotta have a montage. And to your point, so this is one of those where like they would like get a joke, like there had to be a joke, and he like goes to do the handbell and throws it across the room, this was the moment where I'm like, it's so much more funny when you just tried to like think through the logistics of these two characters participating in water aerobics. Right. So they have to like a full on like wetsuit. I was like, that's funny to me.
I don't need an extra joke in there. Just there's funny things that lend
What's
themselves.
funny is a 30-something-year-old person is dressed up like an 80-year-old person doing 80-year-old things. That's funny enough.
And ignoring the general plot that this kid's probably in school in the middle of the day when all these old people are at water aerobics.
Also, I kept thinking about their hands. I was like,
for sure. The
boy,
only
you
thing
ever
they're
saw an
showing is
old
their
person's hands?
These don't look like old people.
They're not old people hands. But the old people montage, man, it got me. They're doing the aerobics. They're doing the handbell choir. They're just you with your friends right now. Think of 5 old people activities, and they did them all. Mm-hmm. They were doing old people stuff in a montage with actual old people. I got a kick out of it. All right. This is our very sophisticated rating system here on Christian Christmas movies are funny. We rate things out of raised hand emojis. It looks like this on your phone. Maybe you've seen them. 5 is the highest. We, not too long ago, had a 0. Tim, what do you think?
This is tough because they technically did some things right, but it was so not in one direction or another that it wasn't like good. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't terrible. I gave it a 2.
Okay.
Which is like worse than a 0 because it's kind of like a don't. Just what are you gonna watch it for? There's nothing that funny in it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that good in it. Don't really recommend. Is really what a 2 means. That's
sure. And I knew this would happen. I was 4 calling birds on this one.
Oh my god.
4 raised hand emojis. This is everything I want. It's a tight hour 26, listener. It's
How is that tight? I mean, sorry, go on.
Silly, it's cheesy, it's 2 guys dressed up in old people makeup doing old people things. You feel good in the end. Everybody ends up with the person that you thought they were going to. They look like they had a great time. If you are in the Hallmark Christmas movie vein, 4 stars from me. It's not 5. It's not going to be like you got to watch it every Christmas, but I was into it. I was very, very pleasantly surprised with this movie.
This would be another one though that I don't know where you get Christmas out of this. I get technically they said this was centered around the Christmas pageant. At no point do you see the Christmas pageant. You see like one snippet at the end of like a thing they do at the retirement home or something. Like this.
Did you even? It's the children's hospital, first of all.
Oh, sorry, whatever.
How dare you?
So they do this Christmas performance at the children's hospital, but was that supposed to be the pageant?
That took the place of the pageant because they were both changing and maintaining tradition.
I get it. That's so dumb.
I loved it. I thought this is what I'm looking for in Christian movies.
Also,
this was a 4-star for me.
If that was the change, we're changing up the Christmas pageant.
Yeah.
And we're just going to tell the Christmas story. What were they doing before?
Was the location. Well,
that was the change. They didn't change the program at all. Because if they did, they just went back in time.
That question is aimed at the hyper-creative wife that was in 2 scenes.
She was just
splattering paint randomly.
And she's thrown under the bus by everyone else like, oh, these pastors' wives is trying to change everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
She was actually like, she wasn't in the movie enough to show up in a category, but I thought the scene she was in, she looked like an actress who was not like...
It's because she was in War Room.
Somebody, there you go.
That's how you know they're good.
There you go. Yeah, that would be a question for her. Why did we not see more substantive changes? 4 stars for me. I stand 10 toes down on my 4-star review of Alter Egos. It was as cheesy as you want it to be. It was not cringy. These are some of my categories that listeners will know. There wasn't some big like. To me, it's like can get kind of icky when the end of the movie is like all these like really kind of crazy things happen that it's like it's not really like enough prayer will make that happen necessarily. This was not that, right? Like 2 people got along at the end and the Christian church stuff was very not icky. The guy was it was very watchable. You're not going to watch it every Christmas.
Let's not go that far.
I did.
Let's not go there. I agree with you. There wasn't anything cringy about it. That's usually a big one for me.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything terribly. There wasn't anything like sacrilegious in there.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. But the extended just watching these guys, I just didn't like how much he enjoyed being in the old man fat suit. He seemed to really get his jollies off on that one.
It's a gross way to say that. But the kid was acting like the whole time.
Kid was great.
And it was like the main actor in the old person suit was like your youth pastor, like putting a wig on and just being like constantly looking to camera like, how silly is it that I'm in this wig?
Right.
How silly is it that I'm in this wig? You're like, I know, Pastor John, you're in the wig.
You're the main character. You got attention. Okay.
So I almost wonder if during shooting they like highlighted the kid more because the story definitely revolved around the kid.
Well, he's a better actor. He's better at everything. Yeah.
Right. But it was like the beginning was almost more Pastor John, and then they got him in the suits, and the director was like, "Hey, so we're gonna go ahead and prioritize the kid out there. Yeah. He's doing a good job."
That makes sense.
Dude, I was so pleasantly surprised. I was grinning watching this movie, going like, "This is one of the better attempts at comedy from the Christian genre that I can remember." It's like, understand that you're just here for wholesome, cheesy, like loose comediness. This is not.
Maybe that's where I hold the comedy part of a movie as sacred. And if you're gonna attempt it, you need to do it well. Because we've had some that do it well.
The ones I've really liked have done it well, sort of accidentally.
Right, the accidental stuff that counts.
I would say.
But like when you're like, I'm gonna nail it because I'm funny.
Right,
I am funny. Watch me funny, and then
again, this was one of those movies that's like you've got a friend that's very jolly, very likable, and they're funny. They do funny things. They exist in the world in a funny way, but then sometimes they try to be funny, and you're like, don't do that. Yeah. Like, don't do jokes.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself, and it's pretty stinking funny. That's what was going on here. It was like, this is a silly premise. This is a silly movie. This is all very silly and sort of charming. Don't, like, do jokes, because that's not good.
That's not your thing.
That's not your thing. Just have a loose premise that is sort of gaggy.
Comical.
And I was into it.
Yeah.
4 stars.
All right.
4 stars.
And 7 years ago.
And every time a Christian movie rings, an angel gets his wings.
Why?
It's from A Wonderful Life.
I know what it's from, but why'd you do that?
That's the one impression I can do. Did you know that?
The kid?
No. Well, I mean, that was my impression of the kid.
I know. It was really bad. No, I know you do Jimmy Stewart.
I do Jimmy Stewart's the only one. I haven't done it in a while, and I should have brought it up because now the viewers are going to be like, he's going to do it. I'm not.
I don't think anybody's asking you to do it.
I get asked all the time to do the Jimmy Stewart impression.
Nobody here asking you to do it, and you're going to do it.
Stop begging me to do the Jimmy Stewart impression. I'm not going to do it. This happens everywhere I go. I'm at the grocery store.
Okay, there's nobody else in the room.
Do the Jimmy Stewart impression.
Except all the producers in here. None of them are asking.
No. Nobody even knows who Jimmy Stewart is anymore.
Wow.
You'd be like, it's the guy from His Wonderful Life. It's the one impression I can do. This was sent in by a viewer, Tim. Thanks. You, viewers. You guys send us the best movies. We get to watch them. And we are so deep in the movie Christian universe, the MCU as I call it. Thanks to you guys. So continue to send them. You can send them on Instagram or TikTok at The Bible is Funny, and we will watch them. And I will
gladly watch them.
Take great joy in it. Mm-hmm. And someone else at this table, who we don't know who I'm talking about, will not take as much joy in it. Could be. But anyway, thanks for sending these. We love you so much. I hope you're having a great Christmas. Mm-hmm. I hope you're sneaking candy canes for yourself. Do you eat candy canes? You don't eat candy canes.
I just have a mint. I want a little tiny candy cane.
The inventor of the candy cane is
much. I don't want to be like a kid with a lollipop that will get my hands sticky.
You know how great mints are.
It's the most inconvenient lollipop, this candy cane.
What if mints were harder to eat and there was like 10 times as much?
But you could stab somebody with it. In the jugular, you kill somebody with a Christmas candy cane.
What you love about mints is they're just so small, they make your breath so good. Okay, it's like that.
Right.
But it's
can't fit the whole
Huge.
thing.
And you're never going to be able to take the wrapper off.
No, not at once.
It's going to be so sticky, covered. Tradition? What do you think?
Call it.
Oh, love you, viewers. We'll see you again soon. We'll be back here with another episode real soon.
See ya.
The Bible is for